The time has finally come, ladies and gentlemen. Hello everyone and welcome to Let's Play Earthbound 0, otherwise known as Earthbound Beginnings and Mother 1. I am not playing the version that's available on the Wii U just because of the fact that I don't feel like, well, I can't record it. That's pretty much the main reason. Now, this is technically the official English translation all the same because there were about 5 cartridges made for the translation team and the playtesters here in the States, but it never got released on the fact that Earthbound, no, the Super Nintendo rather, was on the verge of coming out, so they just made Mother 2 and gave us that one. And as such, I'm naming all the characters their official names. Ninten, Anna with one N, Lloyd, though I'm spelling his name correctly, not L-O-I-D like it is in Japan. And once we get to him, Teddy. Now, as usual, since this is an RPG, I'm gonna say right now, my usual rules apply. Only first time encountering enemies will be shown, and boss fights, obviously. And I will be cutting from place to place, and I will be showing to the right of the screen in every battle, the enemy's stats and what their description that happens when you, check them. Also, we get to choose our favorite food. The general answer in the series is actually steak, but I'm making my actual favorite food ever, which is chicken parm. No, there's not enough words for it to be chicken dash parm, so it's chicken parm. By the way, gotta say right now, this is the first time I'm gonna be saying it as well as many. This game's soundtrack is fantastic. In the early 1900s, a dark shadow covered a small country town in rural America. At that time, a young married couple vanished mysteriously from their home. The man's name was George. The woman's name was Maria. 2 years later, as suddenly as he left, George returned. He never told anyone where he had been, or what he had done. But he began an odd study, all by himself. As for Maria, his wife, she never returned. Backstory. That's going to come into play in about 9-10 parts. 80 years have passed since then. And it throws us immediately in. And I'm going to actually change my settings, I believe, right off the bat. Do I? That's right, I do. Go to your setup so you can change some buttons around. This is the way I generally play. B is run. Start is actually the state. And select is actually usually my map because, well, that just makes more sense. And put your fight speed to max, because otherwise it does go fairly slowly. Either way, we try to exit, and suddenly our lamp goes crazy. First fight of the game is against a lamp. In battle, I'm only going to be telling you what the main things with the enemies are. The thing with the lamp is that it can occasionally get a smash attack, which is the game's equivalent to critical hit, so be careful of that. Though, generally speaking, you'll never lose this fight. It's fairly impossible to do so unless you get such bad RNG that you miss every attack and they get constant smashes. That's technically a boss fight, ladies and gentlemen. And it seems this phenomenon's still going on, so let's check out our sisters. Ninten has 3 sisters, and it seems the lamp's attacking this one as well, and I edited out the fight. After this whole phenomenon ends, by the way, you can head back to this sister here and she'll give you free orange juice. It covers about 9-10 HP. And in here, a doll is attacking our sister. There is nothing too important about the doll. Though I should mention, when it comes to the status window there on the right, there are 2 stats that I don't put in there, and those are Strength and Wisdom. Strength decreases the chance of certain status elements being inflicted. Wisdom increases the chances of inflicting status elements, so it's pretty pointless to talk about in the long run. I'll get into what each of the stats does, though. HP and PP are fairly obvious. PP's like your MP. Offense and defense are fairly obvious. Fight and force, and the other one might be a bit different. Either way, here's a level up. Level ups are actually, for the most part, random as to what stats get increased and by what amount. Though learning new techniques is in a set order, though semi-randomly they are learned. Anyway, let's talk to our sister. And we need to check out what's inside the doll. Let's do that. And by the way, if you can't tell, this game's heavily inspired to an extent by Dragon Quest. And we spotted an old music box. As the music box was wound up, it played a tune. Sounds familiar. And we'll remember the tune. That is the first of 8 melodies, as we check here in our state menu. The melodies are essentially our goals. We need to get them all, and then we can access the end of the game. So, by that math, this game should be fairly short, right? Yeah, it is fairly short actually, but it makes up for it in difficulty. Though I will be level grinding a fair amount, which might actually break the game now that I think about it. Anyway, let's talk to Mom. Ninten, are you alright? Ye gods! What's happening to our house? Wish your dad was here now, maybe? Hey, telephone! Ninten, please get it. Oh, right, this seems familiar. No problem. This is your dad. Well, it seems like a poltergeist. I'm not exactly sure how to... But your great-grandfather studied PSI. You might find something in the basement to help. But I left the basement key someplace. Can't remember exactly where. Anyhow, son, you're my only hope. It's time you go on a little adventure and explore the potential of your powers. Powers not to be taken lightly. Ninten, go for it! But remember to come back and check on our family. Bye. Oh, phone me and I'll save your progress. Call me whenever you want. Slam. Yeah, he's how you save your game, and he's also how you learn how much experience points you have to go until the next level. Essentially, a poltergeist was attacking our house, and if we go into town, we'll learn that apparently a few others were attacked. Either way, also, we have a bipedal dog. And we can converse with animals, because if you check our state, we're actually telepathic. But let's check out our dog here. And there's the basement key! Let's use that to get in here. Also, with that sister there, you can actually store items. That'll come into play for me at least quite a bit later. Let's use that basement key. And in here we get the great-grandfather's diary. Let's check that out, actually. The diary was hard to read, but opened up to this page. Password. The one who lost the tail. The forgotten one, the ship that sails. That'll come into play later. And here we get, if I could actually open it, the plastic bat. Ninten's first of 4 weapons throughout the entire game. So let's equip that. That's a decent attack boost. And here we get bread, I'm going to say right now, which is a food item that actually has 2 uses. You can eat it to heal your HP, or you can use it to drop crumbs. And the next time you use the bread, you'll be warped back to the last place to use the crumbs. So essentially, it's like an escape rope from Pokemon. Either way, here we have a rat. It can bite as an usual attack, but it can also say something nasty, which will lower your fight stats. As for what fight and force are... Force is only in this game. It raises the amount of PP gain on level up, but it also decreases the chance of status ailments being put on the character. If you talk to your mom, by the way, you will actually get essentially a free in. She'll cook chicken parm. It's usually whatever you put your favorite food down as. And as for what... Anyway, going back to the stats there. Actually, now I think about it, the third one I was going to talk about is speed. That's fairly self-explanatory. Also, I level grinded up to level 7. I was going to go for level 5, but then I actually wanted to have $1,000, which is the currency in this game. So I ground a bit farther, so I'm a bit overpowered. And we immediately get our next battle against a snake. Fairly self-explanatory. In later games, they can poison you in their base form, but yeah, they can also drop a magical herb, which recovers 30 HP-ish. Anyway, yeah, the speed stat's fairly self-explanatory now that I think about it, so the only other part of your stats I need to mention is fight. Fight lowers the chance of getting a smash hit, while raises the chance of said character getting one. So essentially, it's your critical hit rate. Anyway, next new enemy is Wally. They're fairly simple, though they're the strongest amongst the enemies you can encounter around here, because they can raise their own attack power, which is fairly threatening. Oh, what can I do? What should I do? Where can I go? Who can I see? What should I do? What should I do? My little Pippi is gone. If you're going to Podunk, please tell the mayor. Oh me, oh my. Anyway, yeah, Podunk's actually the first town. If we press whatever your map button's mapped to, this is the map of the game. We're going to be visiting everything. In fact, aside from, I think, indoor areas, the entire game is laid out like a giant map. Earthbound shares the same thing. Now, if you ever hear the music restart or me jump forward a few steps, that's because I edited out a battle. Anyway, if we talk to this mouse, we learn the rules of the doors in this game. Some buildings you enter, some you cannot. If the door is round or has a sign next to it, you can go on inside. The rest of the doors will not open for you. So essentially, no square doors unless there's a sign next to them. That was surprisingly hard to get out in one breath, huh? Anyway, towns are safe areas as they are in RPGs. No random encounters in them for the most part. And here's a drugstore. We want to buy something in here. But first, go to the ATM here, go to your goods, and use the cash card to access the ATM. We want to withdraw $500. And yeah, I went a bit over 1,000, but that's because they don't tell you how much money you get per enemy. Unless you go to your dad and you just do some basic math. We want to come up here to the sports goods. And buy the wooden bat. Which is the second of the 4 weapons for Ninten, so it's a pretty decent upgrade. I think they immediately equip it over the original one, so you can't actually sell it, I believe. Let me check my goods. Yeah. So essentially, now I've won the early game. Nothing should really do... I should do enough damage to most things to kill them in one hit, which is sadly something I didn't want to do. But I kind of overdid the grinding, and I can tell you for a fact I'm going to try and be less with that later. Also, I learned some PSI while grinding. You first learn Heal Life Up Alpha, which is your first healing spell. Then you learn Hypnosis, which is a status ailment spell that can put enemies to sleep. You then learn Healing Alpha, which heals you from status ailments. And then you learn another one that I can't recall. Either way, next new enemy is a pseudo-zombie. Fairly standard enemy, nothing really to talk about with them, other than the fact that they like to do sneak attacks. Which is when you talk to them on the field. Yeah, there should be preemptive and back attacks in this game, if I recall. And they don't actually outright tell you how much experience you get from enemies. You have to pay attention to the thing at the bottom there for that. Stray Dog, not a very interesting enemy, just kind of dead. Fun little fact, actually, the running feature that you do by holding down the B button wasn't in the Japanese version. It's only American exclusive, though they did add it in the GBA Mother 1 and 2 that Japan got. By the way, this place is a healer, pay him $10, he'll restore your PP to max. And you can save here. But the thing is about the running in this game is that there's a glitch that it's actually not making you run faster, it's just doubling the game's speed in general, music aside. That's fixed in the GBA version, though. Next new enemy is a hippie, has a song that's actually remixed of Johnny B. Good. They can claim that a character's mother is calling them, either causing their fight to decrease, or they realize that it's not very convincing and their offense increases. They can also opt their own offense, but they're not too hard. They can also waste turns by meditating. Next new enemy is a crow. These guys are fairly tricky. They can steal food items. Other than that, nothing really special, though. The interesting fact, their sprite was actually different in Japan. It was a deeper shade of blue, and they were carrying a cigarette. Anyway, we visited that healer. I'm actually going to use that guy to cut to that point later, but right now, let's go visit the mayor, like Pippi's mother told us to. In here. Since this is a square door, but has a sign next to it, we can enter it. By the way, I love this song. This would later appear in Earthbound. Citizen, I know you would like to help your town. Well, a child is straight into the cemetery, and I'm up for re-election soon. You must help, please help me. Oh, you'll go in there and save her? Return her to me alive, and surely I'll be a hero. You'll be a hero. This game's full of witty dialogue, by the way. Talk to all the NPCs, not unlike I'm doing, because a lot of them have really funny lines. And the next new enemy is a Mr. Bat, otherwise known as Mr. Baddies. They are Earthbound series tradition, however, they're really interesting in the fact that they can self-inflict the strangeness status element on them, which is essentially confusion. They can hurt themselves or their friends. They are, honestly, pretty much joke enemies. They will rarely ever touch you, and in the case they do, it doesn't hurt much at all. Pretty funky music, though. In fact, the battles in this game have dynamic music, and the fact that a lot of enemies have exclusive songs, or at least enemy groups. Mother 2 would, Earthbound would do the same thing, and Mother 3 would take that concept and run with it, with the way that they do the combo system. Also, the encounter rate in this game can be ridiculous. See, look at that, one step. Either way, next new enemy is a gang zombie. Dangerous only mostly for the fact that they can inflict smash attacks fairly often compared to other enemies thus far. However, interesting little fact. See that tie there? That's not there in the Japanese version. Well, it's there, but it's smaller and a black tie instead, and they actually have bullet holes in their stomach as well. You can understand why they did that out. In fact, this game is heavily censored. Take out any mention of drugs, cigarettes, blood like that, and crosses. A lot of the graves here have crosses in the Japanese version. The steeple was raised to cover up a cross here in the American version, and here in the church itself, that stained glass window was actually a cross. I like to stalk the zombies' evil ways, but they do not listen to me or won't even talk to me. Now I'm too scared to leave this place. No. Though actually this place does kind of remind me of for some reason, the church from Silent Hill. I don't know why it does, but it does. Either way, we want to find Pippi. She's actually here in the cemetery, obviously, so we have to look around for her. And encounter the last new enemy for the part, a ghost. Fairly vanilla enemy, nothing really to talk about with them other than the fact that they die. Again. Can you call it killing when it's a ghost? Huh. Interesting. Anyway, as for where we want to go in the cemetery, we want to head up here to the northeastern corner, to these little golden graves here. In specific, in the middle of this giant bunch of them, there's one with a hole in it that leads to this little underground area that people who played Earthbound will realize where the concept now came from. And there's these 4 coffins. We want to check all 4 of them. The first 3 that I check all have pseudo-zombies. However, in the last one is always a certain person that we're looking for. After the cassette, it's Pippi! Who's actually based off the main character of Pippi Longstockings, by the way. Hi, I'm Pippi, and I'm lost. What a brave boy you are to have found me. Yeah, don't get so swell-headed, ha ha ha. Let's go back to town. Yeah, there's a lot of nice little dialogue in this game. It's probably one of the best reasons to play Mother 1 nowadays, honestly. Ninten, please go first. I'm so afraid. Okay, then. Either way, with that, I'm going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 2, I will first off be grinding to level 11, and then probably be calming down on level grinding from that, because I've already done the level grinding, so kind of late for that. And taking Pippi back to the mayor and her mother. See you guys then.